The Colosseum is certainly the most impressive structure to be preserved from the ancient days. Next to it is the Arch of Constantine that was built in the year 315 to celebrate the Emperor Constantine's victory over Maxentius. The hawkers who sell postcards at the Colosseum actually have the best deal in town. You get 15 postcards for $1. The Colosseum could hold 55,000 spectators, and it was in use for nearly 500 years. It's the granddaddy of all sports stadiums. It even had a canvas awning that could be pulled over the top to shade the spectators from the sun and keep the rain off. Yeah.
Oh, this is awesome, Dennis. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I wonder how long it took them to build it.
Well, nowadays it would take forever, but it only took them 7 years.
7 years? 7 years.
They had a lot of labor in those days.
Neat, though. It's amazing.
It's so huge that walking through, you get the feeling of being back in ancient Rome. The lions and tigers have been replaced by these friendly wild pussycats. And right next to the Colosseum, you'll find other ruins. There's the Roman Forum, the Palatine Hill, another view of the Arch of Constantine. Passing the Circus Maximus, an outdoor chariot arena where you could have 220,000 fans sitting in the stands. There's only one pyramid in Rome. It was built in 12 BC. It's the tomb of a wealthy Roman named Caius Cestius, made of white marble. We're on our way to the Church of St. Paul outside the wall. This is another of the great landmark churches of the city. It's based upon the style of an ancient Roman basilica. There's a courtyard in the front lined with columns and a garden and a huge statue of St. Paul. Entering the basilica, you really get a feel for what a huge room was like in ancient Rome, because this is based upon a building style that dates back nearly 2,000 years. In the Roman days, the basilica was not used as a place of worship. It was more of a meeting place and a courtroom and multi-purpose room, but the early Christians adopted the style of the Roman basilica and converted them into the first big churches. Several other churches like this in Rome are St. John in Lateran and Santa Maria Maggiore. This candlestick is a marble column that's about 30 feet high, and it's one of the few remnants of the church that have survived intact from the medieval days when the church was first built. Also a survival from the 14th century is the cloister, which is attached to the church, and it's one of the most beautiful and peaceful cloisters that you'll find any place in the world. An enchanting aspect of the cloister is the sheer variety of the columns. Some are curved, some are straight, they're spirals. Many of them are inlaid with mosaic stones or with gems. There's bright colors, beautifully preserved, bearing in mind these are hundreds of years old. Decorative capitals at the top of the columns. It makes for a delightful visit. There's also a gift shop here that sells your standard variety of postcards and reproductions of paintings, and they also have a liqueur known as Benedictine that was actually invented by the friars of this church. There are huge columns out front. St. Paul's was the largest church in Rome until St. Peter's was built in the 16th century. Passing the oldest bridge in Rome, Ponte Fabricio. It was originally built in 62 BC, and it's still in use. It's for pedestrians only. Castello Sant'Angelo on our way to St. Peter's in the Vatican, the grandest church in the world. We'll be taking you inside St. Peter's and showing you some of the sights in this vast space. It's got an amazing history, and it is simply the most beautiful room in the world. A shrine was first built in this location in the 2nd century to mark the site of the tomb of St. Peter. And recent archaeological excavations here well below the baldacchino have found evidence of this original tomb. Bernini's bronze baldacchino standing as a canopy over the altar, looking up to Michelangelo's great dome. one of the most remarkable achievements in human history. It took the entire 16th century to build St. Peter's. Vast fortunes were poured into its construction, and nearly all of the major artists of Rome played a hand in creating this church. The architects, the sculptors, the painters, they all played a role, but some of the major characters were Michelangelo with his great dome, Bramante, who created the original floor plan of the church, which was later modified by Michelangelo, and Bernini, who created many of the major statues and the architectural touches that finished off the interior design. Leonardo da Vinci's early sketches of a great church with a central plan may have been the inspiration for what we see today in St. Peter's. The first church on this site was ordered by the Emperor Constantine and was completed back in the year 349 AD. But after 1,000 years, it was falling apart. It was demolished and construction of St. Peter's began in 1506. One of the most breathtaking sights you'll ever see. With all this touring, we're working up an appetite again.
We're now in Trastevere. That means across the Tiber. And in Trastevere, there's a number of very quaint restaurants. And one of those is Sabatini's, which we'll be recommending to you. It's a lot of fun. We make that a tradition. You've probably seen it on my TV show with the musicians and the church and the fountain right on the piazza. It's a very scenic spot. And this is all the neighborhood of the old Rome. It's a residential neighborhood today, and there's lots of little restaurants scattered around. And the most famous for the tourist is Sabatini. It's an outdoor on the Piazza Santa Maria in Trastevere.
Salute.
You can find you around again.
Salute. Here's to the walk home.